Morning.
Good morning. So I have another story.
I assume so.
Yes. So yesterday in our online community, which consists of everyone who's been in Mastering Alchemy for the last 5 years, and so there's a whole range. And one person, and also in this online community, people don't use their real names. They just make up a name. So I have no clue who these people are. And so somebody was saying yesterday that they were saying that in something that you taught recently, you said match your crown chakras at an orange gold. And it was the first time this person had heard the concept of making your crown chakra a color and matching, and what does all this mean? So I thought it would be an easier way to answer that question is if you and I just have a conversation.
Sure.
Rather than typing and typing and typing.
Sure. We can do that. As long as you can figure out who the person is we're talking to. Lollipop. Okay, great. So it really has to do with setting energy. It has to do with what do you want to accomplish and what do you have to do to accomplish it. And so one of the really simple, basic things is if I want to go to the beach and it's a rainy day outside, I'm not going to enjoy the beach. So in terms of energy, what do I have to do to move the rainy day out of my energy field or out of my motion forward in order to be able to accomplish what I set out to accomplish? And so that's as simple as grounding, being in the center of your head, grounding the room. So yes. A lot of noise in the room. So really simple energy concepts. But matching your crown chakra is one which is really about you sit down in a room with a bunch of people and everybody has a different directional point, starting point, a different ending point, and there's not necessarily a common agreement as to how this is going to work or where it goes. And so particularly if I go into a meeting and I have a sense of there's multiple different points of view, one of the things that I want to do in that meeting, and I'm talking about energy, is ground the room and basically set an intention. So my intention is I would like this to be a smooth, comfortable, enjoyable meeting. So for those of you playing in Mastering Alchemy, I'm going to create a platform that I'm going to set the meeting on. But it's many times, like the person who's asking that question in the instruction in the direction that class was going was, can you all be in agreement? And it's not agreement that we're going to have my answer at the end of the day or somebody's answer. It's can we all look at this circumstance from the same reference point? So in other words, it's like, let's all look at that wall and talk about the picture on the wall and the color green that the picture is. So now we're all focused on the same point. And one of the ways that works really well is setting your crown chakra at a particular color and everybody being in agreement. We're focusing in the same direction.
Well, and it's a visceral experience. It's not just a rational mind making up whatever. It's like when we were doing Park Bench, every meeting we met over 30 times, and every meeting one of the first things we did is we matched our crowns at a golden green.
Right.
And it really made all the difference in the world. We were all on the same page. Like you said, we're all in the same vehicle driving on the same highway together toward a point that we can all see. We'll all have our different versions of that end point, but we'll all end up in the same camping site.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
And even to just take it one more step, for example, at Park Bench, we set the crown chakra and then we created an agreement of how we were going to play together. Mm-hmm. And that construct was respect, around the word respect. And basically we're all going to be in respect. So you didn't take away discussion and difference. you took away the edge of, I don't like you, and that's a stupid thing. And so that edge, okay, I'm not going to go into my edge. And so setting energy is a really valid way of recognizing how to use the energy.
And I imagine that a follow-up question online would be, how did you choose orange, yellow? Why did you choose green and gold? And the most recent one that we did for the Mastery members was we did a blue gold. We all set our...
Right.
And we're starting to match crowns more and more. Years ago, we didn't used to do that in classes. But ever since Park Bench, it seems like we've all created an agreement to go a certain direction.
Yeah. Well...
And so let's talk about, how did you choose blue and gold?
Well, so first, even before how do you choose it, is where do you want to go?
Yeah.
Where do you want to end up? What do you...
The platform of words.
Well, the platform of words, but in the case of Park Bench as an example, we are building a new realm of consciousness. And so here we're going to build this new architecture, this new landscape, create this environment. And it's done in a certain set of ways. If you're going to go build a building, you have plumbers and contractors and electricians and, people dumping dirt. So how do you get them all on the same page that says we're building a building? And that's what Park Bench, that's what Mastering Alchemy is. That's what this whole new direction we're going. Right. So one of the reasons we're now beginning to set that energy more specifically in group discussions is to keep an energy moving in a certain direction with a common purpose. And so how do you choose colors? That's not random. That's specific too. It's got maybe a little bit more intentional on my end, maybe nuanced on my part. So let's take it into words. So if you enter into a discussion from anger, rage, resentment, jealousy, you've got a direction that's being said. Kindness, respect, dignity, you got a direction. Color works the same way. Sound tones work the same way. Setting the structure of what you want. So, but the color a lot of times has particular nuance to it. And like the mastery group that we've just basically set in, it's pretty much a sky blue.
Yeah.
We just said blue, but the blue was clearly here, this color blue, and everybody matched it, even though they didn't see the color necessarily.
One of the ways that when I was teaching, I used to play with colors of the crown, and that was a lesson.
Yeah. I
used to teach. Boy, that was a long time ago. And so it's a personal relationship with the color. So to discover what colors feel what ways in your quiet time, imagine your crown chakra at blue. Okay, imagine this is how I do it. So here I'm wearing a blue hat or a blue triangle on top of my head, and I just, in my quiet time, just imagine the blue completely filling up my space, and then identify, what does this feel like? Ah, it feels like calm water, or whatever the word is. Then green. And consistently what I've found is that there are some colors for me that don't work for creating.
Right, right.
And so the color brown doesn't, it's dull, for me, it's just dull and slow and doesn't work for creating.
But it's stable.
It's very stable.
So it has an application, or in the same place as you don't use, kind of an iridescent red to create a comfortable, calm environment. It's got excitement in it. It's an energetic construct. It's not good or bad. It has a purpose. It has excitement. Brown has a stability. Blue has a calmness. So
to identify, to answer that question, how do you choose the color? It's personal, and you play with the colors yourself ahead of time to know, orange is for this purpose. Yellow is for the fields. And since you, a person, is the art director, is the person creating the project, you get to choose what color you want to set the energy.
Sure.
You're the project manager, and so you set the tone.
Right. But there's a flip side to that too. It's like I'm engaged with the client or somebody else. And so one of the interesting things is I like you because you're like me. And oddly enough, it has a lot to do with that crown chakra color.
Mm-hmm.
If you're vibrant, red, and edgy and excited, and I'm a calm person, that's not a match. So often when you go to see somebody or you go to engage with somebody, as a clairvoyant, and everybody's clairvoyant, it's just something nobody else necessarily pays attention to, is you look at somebody and I would like to be in agreement with you, but right now we're not talking in the same place. You're still excited about where you are just out playing tennis, and I'm talking about how do we create a nice smooth landscape in our backyard. It's a mismatch. So how do I get close to you? I'm going to set my crown chakra so that I can say hello to you and you can say hello to me, and you're going to shift your color a little bit. I'm going to shift my color a little bit. And then that's comfortable. I'm not imposing on you. I'm not forcing. And then all of a sudden, let's talk about the backyard, because you've kind of now calmed down a little bit from your red and fieriness to your, okay, no, I'm still having a good day, but I'm not on the tennis court anymore. Now I'm stepping it down.
But the way you do this is you don't change the color of their crown chakra.
No. You come as close to them as you don't go up here, all of a sudden you're playing the game that they're playing. This is where a lot of people get in trouble, is they're angry and I think they're angry at me, so I'm going to be angry at you. Well, I just go right into a match on their terms, not on my terms. Now, my terms are not imposing on somebody, so when you start to really play with this, I want to have a conversation with you. We're not lined up at the moment. So I'm going to go close to you. I'm going to raise let's say I want to be at a light blue. I can make it a little brighter blue, and you're going to see that and come down a little bit. And then after we have a little more conversation, I might bring it down a little bit more. And now you're getting calmer.
Mm-hmm.
So helping by setting energy and using the crown chakra so people can see where you're going. Let me lead you to where I'm going by the color of my crown chakra.
Yeah.
It's a skill. It's more than this conversation. It's not complicated. It just requires a little bit of information. We just gave you a little bit of information. And then it is a place to play. So when we used to do lots of clairvoyant readings, one of the things you do, the person would walk in the room and you would match them at their crown chakra, but just go a little bit higher, not better, just a little bit higher, so that I can see where you are, but I still have the individuality to basically, oh, I noticed this was going on too, and that was going on too. Did this happen to you? And all of a sudden, they start opening up, and at that same match, we're now starting to look at the same things, or they're presenting.
So you're able to observe them without getting their pain all over you.
Oh, absolutely. That's the last thing you want. I see you, but I don't have to be sympathetic with your pain, or even empathetic with it. I can feel you have an uncomfortableness, but I don't have to have that second chakra match to where, oh yeah, that was really terrible what you're talking about. You kind of create a space to where there's a buffer, and yet you have a clarity of observation.
Now, another thing you said a few minutes ago that people may want to know more about, and we can touch on it now, or whatever, go into it later, is you said ground the room. Well, the phrase ground the room, you and I know what that means.
Right.
But I mean, we don't do much of this in Mastering Alchemy anymore. We don't say own and ground the room.
Yeah. Maybe we should have a whole set of classes on this. So grounding the room is really it's a perception. So first you think you're making up a story. Well, you're not making up a story. The people in the room, it's a little bit off balance, and it's a little bit edgy, and it's like I don't see any organization here. And so if you were to just sit and kind of, you can do it a number of ways. You can grab all four corners of the ceiling and connect them to the four corners of the floor, and then just simply draw a line into the center of the earth and just have an intention that everything that's edgy is going to calm down. And then just sit there with that awareness. You're not forcing, you're just kind of allowing. And you get calmer, you begin to be that point that sets an energy and everybody starts to get calmer.
One piece I used to do in the corporate world is I had to hold meetings periodically. And so before the meeting, I would just sit and close my eyes and imagine the room and put the grounding cords on each of the corners of the room and ground the room. And then I would put little grounding cords on the seats of each of the chairs.
Sure.
And then I would set, and so that way, all of the people, all the other managers would come in, sit down in this chair and go, "Ah, this is nice."
Mm-hmm.
And then I would also put a rose of a certain color at the door. So everybody has to walk through this rose of this color. And as they walk through it, it's like a shower. They get that energy all over them.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
setting energy.
Yeah. And some of it sounds like silly little things. And well, that's cute, but it working
works
with energy. And so you begin to understand how to set energy and how to organize energy and be really clear you're not imposing on anybody. It's like I'm making the room warm and comfortable and I'm adding nice plants and I'm having it feel really pleasant. Well, that's really different than the person who's been out in the rainstorm and is freezing cold. They step into a different environment. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, oh, this is so much nicer. How many times have you found yourself saying that about something? Or walked into a room and it's like, wow, this really feels nice. Somebody took the time to set the energy.
Right. Yeah. They painted the room. They planted the flowers. They made it a nice environment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's another quick story about how I was in conversation with one of the students and they were saying, well, I have these bad dreams and I have anxiety and I'm up all night and I can't sleep. And so I said, have you tried grounding your bed?
Yeah.
So I explained, the four corners of the bed, just put the grounding cords. As you crawl into bed, the first thing you do before you go to sleep is you just ground it. You ground the day, you ground the animals, you just, whatever comes up, you just imagine it flowing down these grounding cords. And it took a few nights, but now they're sleeping.
Yeah, yeah. And along those lines, another thing is when you go to bed at night, just simply create a set of intentions or use your roses. I'm just going to put a rose right at the edge of my dream space and my awake space in this room. And this room is comfortable and respectful and kind. And all that other energy simply stays on the other side of the rose. Yep. I'm not giving attention to it or fearing it. I'm just simply saying, this is how I'm setting the energy. And this is what happens in my sleep space. Eliminates a lot of bad dreams.
See, now you said, yeah, it sounds like silly little tools. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like kindergarten and make-believe and pretend. And it sounds too simple to be true. But, we've gotten really serious. Well, this whole spirituality thing sometimes just is really serious. And energy doesn't move when you're serious. It only moves when you're in this playful kindergarten place.
No. And a lot of things about the nature of spirit quite often is old. It was very real when it was present time, very real, the teachings. Mm-hmm. And so it's very similar to religion. Religion isn't teaching new constructs. They're basically saying, here's the rules. And one of the only constants, as we all have heard, change. And change doesn't allow for the old to stay stable after mm-hmm. time. It begins to decay off or get rigid.
We could do another conversation on that.
We could do a lot of conversations. Maybe we should have morning conversations more often.
Hey, what a great idea.
Yeah. Sit here and have coffee and talk
onions.
In the mornings. And onions, yes, very nice onions you have.
So play with setting energy, play with the colors and the grounding, and let us know. How does it work?
Right. And be curious. Be curious among yourself. What would happen if I set this room in, magenta? Well, see what happens. Real key here is you can't screw it up. You can get an edgy result. Like I'm going to put it in bright red and have lots of motion in it. Well,
See what happens.
You're gonna get lots of motion. So it's about playing and being simple and allowing your opportunity to see what's going on. We'll do this again. Have a good day.